Hey guys, Kristen here. Welcome to this week's Wisdom webinar. I am very excited to present today because it is the week of Thanksgiving for those of us in the United States. Now, I say that I'm not physically in the US, but I am an American, a North American. So I'm going to share some stuff today about gratitude. So first of all, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to give you that up front. And excuse me, let me just throw out a little reminder. This is our third week at the Weekly Wisdom webinars. So thank you guys who have watched, whether you've watched it live or recorded. I think I've had a lot more traffic watching it after, which is fine because it is 1 o'clock in the middle of the afternoon and most people are working. So I totally understand. I am not upset or offended. I'd love to have a group full of people here, but I also know that it is a bit of an odd time for most people in the US if you're still a working person. So today will be the last webinar for November, and next week on Wednesday is the workshop Tinsel and Tonic. Very excited about that. We're going to talk about and go through some different tools and workshops and prompts and things to talk about how to navigate the holidays as somebody who is either sober or sober curious or trying to stay sober, whatever that looks like for you. And maybe drinking is not your issue. It could just simply be that you're not sure how to deal with the intensity or the chaos or the dysfunction or the drama that can come with the holidays. Now, I don't want it to sound like the holidays are all negative because they're not. The holidays can be really lovely, but everybody has a different history and a different experience with the holidays. And I just know personally for myself that when you're trying to remain sober, if you are going to a lot of different parties and events where there's a lot of alcohol being served, that can be very difficult and it can put you in a lot of different situations. At the same time, if you've got maybe issues with family and drama, that can drive you to drink. I know a lot of us have been there. Sometimes you're just like, let me just get through this with a rum and Coke. So that's what we're going to cover. I've got some worksheets. I will be posting those in PDF form on the event in the courses section. If you go over to the classroom, you'll see the tab for it. I don't have them up yet, but I will have them there hopefully by this weekend. But I'll have them there before Monday at the latest. So there won't be a Tuesday webinar. Tinsel and Tonic is on Wednesday. It's later in the day. There is a cost behind it. This is a longer event. This is an hour and a half. And if you bump yourself up from a free to a premium member, which is $10 a month, then the workshops are included. If you would like to pay for it separately, it's $25. So you can do either one if you go to the classroom tab and click on Tinsel and Tonic. So, all right, let's go ahead. I am not wearing my reading glasses, so excuse me if I have to check my notes and I'm like this, but they have a bad reflection on them and they don't do well on camera. So something for me to consider next time I get new glasses. All right, so let's go ahead and do a short meditation before we get started. So what I'd like you to do is, if you're in a position where you can sit up nice and tall, maybe just find a really straight spine. So you're not hunched over, that you're sitting tall, your chest is open, heart's nice and open to everybody. And then I want you to just close your eyes, take a moment, take a deep breath in through the nose, release it through the mouth. Now, if it feels better for you to sigh or to scream or to moan or to yell, feel free. Inhale, bring in all that good positive energy. And then exhale out anything you no longer need in this space. Let's do it a couple more times. Inhale. Good, clean, fresh air. And then exhale and release any toxins or tensions that are still hanging on in the body. And I want you to close the mouth, maybe lick the lips or swallow. Relax the tongue if it's stuck on the roof of the mouth. And just breathe naturally through your nostrils. Start to gaze into your third eye, which is the space in between your eyebrows. It's your mind's eye, your third eye. And I want you just to focus on where you are in space right now, in your chair, in your room, wherever you are, what city you're in, what state, country. And just give yourself a breath of gratitude for being here, for taking this time out today, again, whether you're here live or recorded, just to take this 30 minutes out for yourself, to take a break, maybe to learn something new, to just settle into yourself, giving yourself some self-love and self-care. And then one more breath as a group. Inhale. Big sigh out. And then slowly flutter your eyes open, welcoming yourself back to the room. All right, welcome back. All right, so today, in honor of Thanksgiving, typically there's a lot of people who will go around the table and say, give me one thing or say one thing you're thankful for. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not dissing that tradition. A lot of people do that. But what I want to focus on today is like an internal gratitude, not I'm grateful for my house, my car. Those are material things. And there's nothing wrong with being grateful for those. You should thank God or whoever you worship or whatever your thing is. You should be grateful for the things in your life that make life easy. You know, we all are. I work in a third world country and I see some severe poverty. So I am very grateful for my chair, my walls, my floors. You know, I'm pointing at my floor. When people say a dirt floor, there is no floor, it's just dirt. And I see thousands and thousands of people, or thousands of homes, I should say, that's the case here. And those are things that we should not take for granted. Those things are we should very much be grateful for. But gratefulness and gratitude is really just an awareness, and it's where we give a thanks to something or someone. And I want to focus on ourselves. Now, with that said, I don't want you to think of this as being egotistical. We are living in a world right now that is very self-centered and very much me, me, me. There are demographics of people that are like trying to go out and be in service. They're trying to help others. But especially after the pandemic and just with all the political chaos going on around the world, people are really like drawn in and almost defensive. And so when we get caught up in that, it doesn't help if we have an addiction. So what I want us to do today is we're kind of going to go through a list of prompts. And these are just things I'd like you to think about, not just here today in the moment, but as the week goes by, and maybe use this as your Thanksgiving Day prompt, we'll call it, for the family. Maybe it's one thing that you're grateful for about your life, yourself. And I'm going to repeat, this is not about being egotistical or being self-centered and saying, oh, this is all about me, me, me. But there are a lot of things that when we're depressed or anxious or downtrodden, we don't see the good in ourselves, in the small things. And that's where we're going to focus on today. So what I want us to do is just remember, you don't have to feel grateful to practice gratitude. You just have to give. You have to give that kindness, whether it's to others or to yourself. So today we're going to start with gratitude for resilience. I want you to think about a situation where you were resilient and maybe a moment that you got through. It sounds really silly, but maybe, I got through taking that test today. I got through the traffic. I was resilient when I was in an argument with my spouse. I stood my ground at my job. So these are little moments in our lives that we don't think about as having gratitude for. I go back into my childhood. I was bullied, and I'm sure many of you were too. So I'm not saying, oh, boo-hoo, woe is me, but I had moments of resilience and it sucked. I don't know how else to describe it. It was horrible and it sucked. And I had it through several different classes and a couple different years in school, and it was horrific. But I got through it. And I'm grateful for it because what it's done is it's giving me a sense of resilience in myself that I can go, okay, I got through that, as horrible as it was. And that was before social media, thank God. But I got through it and I'm very grateful for it. And I'm grateful for it because it's given me an empathy for people who have been bullied and not to do it as an adult because there are a lot of adult bullies as we see all around the world. If we've been through a divorce or job loss or a family member loss or, a death, those are moments of resilience where we got through something and didn't think we could possibly do it. So take a moment to find gratitude for a moment that you got through, something that you had a sense of resilience in. And feel free to jot these down or pause and go back to them. I'm so sorry. I'm croaky again this week. The next one is going to be gratitude for growth, tiny wins. Now, I talked last week about, or maybe it was week 1, talking about taking baby steps. I truly believe the best way to change is by taking baby steps, because baby steps will lead you to tiny wins. And sometimes in life, we don't see the baby steps and the tiny wins as a good thing. We want grandiose reactions. We want grandiose success. We want to dive head into something and be completely successful. Let me use this webinar as an example. I would love to open up this screen and have 50 people waiting for me. And so far, I've had 1 or 2. And it gets very defeating sometimes, but then I have to remember this is just starting out. I knew this is a baby step. I'm putting myself out there as a baby step. And the fact that I'm even recording this and I'm sending out to people and people are watching it after the fact is a tiny win. And I know that it's something that will eventually snowball. So find a moment in your life that you can think of that you took a baby step. Maybe you quit something, or you took a baby step towards quitting something. It doesn't have to be an addiction, but you took a baby step towards something. Maybe you started something. A good example would be you really wanted to learn how to salsa dance or glass blowing or economics, whatever. You wanted to learn something new. And that baby step was simply Googling classes of whatever, fill in the blank near me. That's a baby step. The next thing would be looking into a website, maybe registering for some free information. Coming here to Not Even Wine with Dinner, whether you registered on the school page or you're on my website, whatever, or maybe you downloaded my sobriety starter kit. Those are baby steps that lead to tiny wins. So find that moment of change and growth and give yourself gratitude for that. All right, moving on. Next one is for awareness when you're noticing something isn't working. I don't want this to sound like it's the Kristen show, but I'm going to give you personal examples of these because that's what works for me. And this is all very organic. When I reached the peak of my anxiety this last summer, I knew it was coming. I felt it, and I knew there was something wrong with me, but it took somebody on the outside to actually address it with me because they saw it differently than I felt it. And when they addressed it to me, that was like the aha moment where I went, oh, okay, it's not just me, but thank you. Like living in this state of anxiety is not working for me. And I was able to then address it, talking to my doctor and blah, 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 moving forward with that. But that's something that it's really important to have that gratitude of knowing when something is not working for you and saying enough. I have people in my life that don't do that. They just keep going through the insanity clause. I keep doing the same shit over and over and over, even though I come out with the same results. I do this and the outcome is not good. I do it again, the outcome is still not good. I do it again, and the outcome is still not good. It is when you have that moment of awareness that you think, okay, I've done this 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times. It's not working. When that light bulb goes off, listen to yourself, listen to your heart, listen to your gut. That is the moment when you're having this aha moment, and you should reward yourself for that. Say, okay, you know what? I have to make a change because this is not working for me. And people go through their whole lives not addressing that. Hell, the reason I'm here today is because I had a problem with my own drinking. My sister drank herself to death. She wouldn't ask for help, and her ego killed her. That's the best way I can put it. The drinking didn't kill her, her ego did, because she knew she had something wrong. I'm convinced she knew she had something wrong with her. I know she knew she was drinking too much, but she hid behind it. She hid behind some illnesses. She was able to mask it and flip it around and make it look like a completely different picture to the rest of the world. But she didn't address it, even though she knew it wasn't working. So when your body or your mind or the situation you're in isn't working and you identify with it, bingo. That is something to applaud yourself with. That's probably one of my favorite things on this list that I have. And I do have a list because I'm old and I need notes. So I like to talk freely. But as far as the bullet dots are concerned, I do need my notes. It's basically that you wake up. You wake up to your inner self telling you something's not right. I just encourage you to listen. Listen to your mind, listen to your body. As a yoga instructor for many, many years, one of the things that I have repeatedly said to my students is listen to your body. It's your best teacher. And what I mean by that is, okay, my hip hurts. Okay, well, stop doing hip exercises at the gym until you can talk to somebody, whether it's medically or chiropractically or physical therapy or whatever, to find out why your hip hurts. I'm not saying that, you need hip replacement, but listen to your body. It will tell you what it needs, and it will tell you what you shouldn't do when you get sick, when you're hungover. That's the body rejecting the alcohol. That's the body saying, stop, don't do it. It's this that continues to move forward. Okay, so I want to get off on sobriety so much today as a single topic. All right, so moving on to the next one is gratitude for the body. Have gratitude for what your body can do. Now, I know if you have a lot of health issues, that is very difficult and very frustrating. I have had my own issues. I have my own issues going on right now, but I am also very aware of what my body is capable of doing. And even if something's not working properly, I am grateful for what is working properly. And that mindset sometimes will carry you through a lot of aches and pains. And I know that's very difficult if you are listening to me and you've got something horrendous or terminal, or you're really immobile. If you're not moving very well, what is your mind doing? How capable is the strength and your education and your knowledge up here? Be grateful for that. Maybe you've helped heal your own body because you have the smarts to do a lot of research on your own. I'm not saying that you need to be a WebMD doctor, but the capabilities that we have with our knowledge can carry us through in our bodies. So again, listen to your body. It is your best teacher. And be grateful for the movement that you have. Movement is something, as it's been a lot of my career path, the body, let me start this over. We only have one body. We're given one chance with this one body. We can choose what to do with it and what not to do with it. Now, I don't want to sound unsympathetic to people who have addiction. Obviously, I've had it. I have it. I have alcohol. I'm an alcoholic. But we also are given wisdom and discernment to make choices, good and bad. So when people say things like, I have to eat fast food because, personally, I would say I don't agree with that. I'd say you can find some inexpensive groceries to balance that out so that you don't have to eat that. And again, I'm not trying to get off on a health tangent here because I guess that's what all of this is. This is all about our health. It's about our mental health. But we're given one shot. Take that to heart. Continuing on the line of the body, one thing that I like to teach is preventative medicine and preventative movement versus prescriptive movement. So, as I said, we are given discernment to make choices, good, bad, and otherwise. Make good choices in all facets of your life. Make good choices. But when it comes to the body, what I call preventative movement is exercise, walking, stretching, mobility exercises, massage, chiropractic, whatever your flavor is. Those are preventative if you do them as a regular practice in your life. I don't care if you lift the soup cans like they told you to do in the 70s and the 80s. If you don't have weights, lift a couple soup cans. That's fine. Walk around your house if you live in a crappy neighborhood. Get yourself a cheap watch to count your steps. And people think this was, I think, $19 on Amazon, and it doesn't do a ton of stuff. I don't want it to. I want it to tell me the time and my heart rate and my steps. That's it. I do not want messages. I don't want all that information buzzing. I'm done with technology. So do something good for yourself so that in the future you don't need to have what I call prescriptive medicine and prescriptive movement, meaning you treat your body like garbage and then you get to a point where a doctor has to say, now you need to do this. And because you're not already doing it, now you're like, oh, I'm 70 years old or I'm 50 years old. I've never exercised before. I don't want to start now, because it becomes more difficult as you get older. So, got off on a tangent there, but be grateful for the body you have. Be grateful for the abilities and the mobilities that you do have, and for the amazing mind that you have. And with the mind, that is our next topic. Be grateful for your mind, whatever your ability is. Maybe, okay, you may, all right, let me, I did not finish college. I got a 1.65 GPA my first year at a university. I was partying, smoking, drinking, doing all the things. And that doesn't mean I'm stupid. It just means I didn't apply myself. And my ADHD was horrendously off the charts. I was not being medicated, and I'm not now, but still, I didn't understand why my grades weren't good, why I had such a hard time learning. And what I did learn over the years was that I needed to be in classes that I enjoyed. I needed to be trying to learn something that meant something to me. I don't need geometry. I don't need that in my life. I don't understand it. My brain doesn't comprehend it. So I'm not beating myself up over it, but I am a creative. I think I'm a decent yoga instructor. I like to paint. I like to draw. I like to talk. So I'm giving myself all the gratitude in the world for the abilities I have. When I came out of that year of crappy college, I started working at a grocery store, and I ended up having a 12-year career there. I was really good at the grocery business. So whatever your education, it doesn't have to be a higher education. Be grateful for the knowledge that you carry, and that you don't ever have to stop learning. I heard somebody not long ago say, why would so-and-so want to go back to school? They're almost 40. And I'm like, oh my gosh, almost 40? Like, now I would wish I was 40. And at the same time, I'm continually wanting to learn. There are certain things I choose not to want to learn anymore. I'm getting a little worn out with technology because there's just too much and so much. And when I get in a position where I can pay somebody to do certain jobs, that's where we're going to go with that. But I am so grateful that I've learned how to utilize my brain to its maximum potential. So whether it is, again, creative or, your vocation, your job, maybe you're a shit hot doctor or you're an attorney, or maybe you're the best cashier at the Kroger or wherever it is that your store is. I used to scan 40 items a minute. I was always top two for the week. So I was very proud of myself for that in that moment. And I was going to junior college at the same time, taking courses that I enjoyed. So be grateful for your mind, be grateful for your knowledge. And let's move on now to one inner quality that you feel like that you have developed. So I feel like I've developed that inner quality of strength after dealing with what happened with my sister. That was heart-wrenching and horrendous and traumatic. But I developed like this inner resilience, and I also had to jump into like a ridiculous amount of action to deal with a court system from 1,500 miles away. I had to get guardianship over my sister. So it could be that you've developed your knowledge, you've developed your strength, whether mental or physical. You've developed wisdom over the years dealing with something important or large or traumatic, whatever the case may be. Excuse me. Let's see. Let's go ahead and move on one more. All right, because we're getting a little low on time here. Ooh, I've got a couple here left. Let's see. What is something about me I used to overlook but now appreciate? I hated being tall as a child, and now I appreciate it. And I know that's silly because I have no control over it. But let's go back to what I just said about the grocery store. There was a time in my life where I felt like, I don't want to say a failure, but I felt like I wasn't as good as my highly educated sister because I was working grocery. That is not a diss to the grocery industry because we all need it. And I loved my years there and I learned more. This is where I'm going with it. The appreciation for that and the gratitude I have for that is because I was in the service industry. So I had to deal with every type of person you can possibly imagine. And through my career, I probably worked at 6-7 different stores in different locations all around Texas. I worked at a store that was backed up to a country club golf course, which was a very waspy white bread neighborhood. I worked in the area called Stop 6 in Fort Worth, which is a very impoverished neighborhood, a lot of minorities, and I was the minority at Stop 6. And then I worked at another store in Irving that was close to a big homeless area. So it was like these levels of, poverty and homelessness all the way up to pompous rich people. Not saying it was all waspies because it wasn't, but very big demographics of economics. And I dealt with all different types of people. So it's exposed me to really, really kind people and really, really, really shitty people and mean people. So I have a very high tolerance for just people in general and being able to adapt. So that's something that I'm very grateful for. I'm grateful for that opportunity. And that's what I want you to look for is something that you've developed. Maybe you didn't appreciate it when you were younger. And then through time, you were able to look at that and say, oh, you know what? I'm really glad I did this. I'm really glad that I learned how to do that because it got me from here to here. All right, one more, and then we're going to probably go over a couple minutes. All right. Where has my strength surprised me this year? It is November, I think today's the 24th at the time of recording, 2025. So you're 11 months into the year. Where has your strength surprised you this year? All I can say is that I'm here with Nude, Not Even Wine with Dinner, and I launched this. And that was something that was always coming, but I didn't expect it to happen as fast and as whirlwindish as it has. So think about something that has surprised you that you've done to yourself or to help others or whatever the case is, whatever you've done, something that has surprised you this year, and give yourself heartfelt gratitude. I am super grateful and thankful for all of you, for everybody who has carried me through this transitional period of launching a website, starting a podcast, doing these webinars, trying to launch some workshops. I will be perfectly honest with you guys, it is a lot. And what I've learned about myself, so going back to gratitude, I don't want to say something's not working, but I feel a bit overwhelmed with all the things that I'm trying to do. So, what I am doing now is looking at what is my number one thing? What feeds me, and what is the biggest response that I've gotten from the audience? I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, it is actually my writing and my storytelling. I started writing on Medium. That is how this all kind of kicked off. So I'm continuing on with everything we're doing right now, but it might look a little different in 2026. So just stay tuned. And on that note, put your hands over your heart and let's close our eyes together and take a deep breath in. I just want you to breathe into those hands, into your chest and your heart. Take a moment to tell yourself, I am grateful for everything that I am. I am grateful for everything that I have. I am grateful for everything that I know that I can be, no matter how young or old I am. I am grateful for this life and for those around me and for those who bring positive energy and love and light into my life. Let's take one more deep breath as a group. And slowly open your eyes. Thank you guys so much. For those of you who celebrate it, I want to wish you a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving. Eat lots of food, enjoy your stuffing. I will be decorating for Christmas at the later part of this week and preparing for Tinsel and Tonic. So I hope to see you guys there. Once again, thank you guys, and we will catch you guys at the next one. Adios.